I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that you are holding a heavy suitcase in your hands, and it has been there for so long that you almost forgot there was a time when your arms were free. Inside this suitcase, there is an event, a betrayal, a sentence someone said, a moment where your heart broke a little, or a lot, and a part of you is still standing in that old room, waiting to hear one word, sorry, waiting for them to understand, waiting for them to see what they did, waiting for them to become a different person so your heart can finally rest. My dear, I understand that so well. I really do. We think, if they would just admit it, if they would just say it was wrong, then I could let go. But what happens if they never do? Or if they can't? Or if it isn't safe to ever go back into that room with them again? Do you see how you are then tying your peace to their level of maturity, to their healing, to their courage? If you wait for their apology to heal, you hand your peace to the person who hurt you. And I don't want that for you. I want you to have another doorway, a doorway that does not depend on their choices, a doorway that leads you back to yourself. So let's make a gentle distinction together, because it will help your heart relax. There is something called reconciliation, and there is something called integration. Reconciliation is when two people come together. They talk, they listen, they take responsibility, and perhaps they build a new relationship, or perhaps they close a chapter with mutual respect. That is beautiful when it is possible, but it is not always possible, and it is not always safe. Sometimes they deny, sometimes they disappear, sometimes their behavior tells you that going back would be going back into a storm. Integration is different. Integration is between you and you. Integration is when you say, yes, this happened. It is part of my story, but it is not the driver of my present, and it is not the author of my future. Integration does not erase the event. It changes the way you carry it. Integration does not change the past. Integration changes the one who carries the past. When you integrate, you are not pretending it was okay. You are deciding that your life is too precious to lose one more year, one more month, one more night of sleep to something that already happened. You are not going back to fix them. You are turning inward to rescue you. Now I know part of you might say, but Louise, how can I do that if they never said they were wrong? How can I do that if I still feel so small when I think about them? Let's talk about that. When you are demanding a certain apology, a certain sentence, a certain tone of voice from them in order to move on, you are in a way putting a crown on their head. You are saying, you are the judge. You decide if I am allowed to heal. And I know you don't want to do that. You may have done it unconsciously for years, but you are wiser now. You are more awake now, and you can choose again. You do not need their permission to heal. You do not need their awareness to reclaim your life. You can bless them from afar. You can keep your boundaries. You can say very clearly in your own heart, whatever you choose to do with your life is your path, and what I choose to do with this pain is my path. That is called self-sustained healing. You become the source of your own tending, your own soothing, your own justice. One of the hardest lines that people struggle with on this journey is this one. They did the best they could with the understanding, awareness, and skills they had at the time. When I say that, I am not saying what they did was all right. I am not saying you should go back for more. I am not saying that there should not be consequences. I am simply looking at the truth that hurt people, frightened people control people, unhealed people pass their pain forward. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you step a little out of the prison of, why didn't they love me better? Why didn't they see me? Why didn't they protect me? They couldn't give what they didn't have. They were acting out of their wounds, their ignorance, their fear. You are allowed to say, what you did was not okay. I deserved better. And at the same time, I can see you were limited, and I choose to stop letting your limitations define my worth. Understanding is there so you can loosen your grip on the story, not so you can walk back into the same fire. We understand to release. We do not understand to return. Now let's talk about someone very important who has been waiting for you in this whole process. The younger you. The little one inside who did not have the tools, who could not walk away, who did not have a voice, who swallowed the tears because there was nowhere to put them. When you think of that child, maybe you see yourself at 5 years old, or 10, or even last year, sitting on a bed, feeling so confused, wondering what was wrong with you that they treated you that way. That little one has been waiting for an apology too, but not just from them, from you. Not because you did anything wrong, but because as adults, sometimes we keep repeating the same harshness they gave us. We talk to ourselves the way they talk to us. We abandon ourselves the way they abandoned us. And that inner child is saying, will anyone ever protect me? Will anyone ever choose me? This is where your greatest healing power lies. You can become today the person you always needed back then. So I'd like you to do something with me now, if you're willing. Take a breath with me. Put your hand on your heart or on your cheek, the way you might touch a beloved child. Close your eyes for just a moment and picture that younger you. See their face. See the shoulders, maybe a little tense. See the eyes, maybe a little afraid, maybe still so hopeful. And in your mind, step closer to them. You don't have to fix anything yet. You don't have to explain the whole universe. You just have to arrive. And when you are ready, say to them gently, inside your own mind, I am so sorry you went through that. I am so sorry no one protected you the way you deserved. I am so sorry I left you alone with that pain for so long. From now on, I am here. From now on, I will listen. From now on, I will protect you. Feel what happens in your body when you say that. Perhaps there is a little ache. Perhaps there are tears. Perhaps there is a tiny softening in the chest. That is healing. That is you picking up the little hand of your inner child and saying, we are not going to wait for them anymore. We are going to walk ourselves home. You see, my dear, forgiveness does not mean you forget. Forgiveness means you remember differently. Instead of remembering with self-blame, you remember with compassion. Instead of remembering with, what was wrong with me, you remember with, they were limited and I deserved better, and now I am giving myself better. Instead of remembering as a powerless victim, you remember as the powerful adult who has choices now. You do not have to minimize what happened to you in order to move on. You simply decide not to drag it like a chain behind you every step of the way. You put down the suitcase. You let the story be one chapter, not the whole book. You can say, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt. Yes, I survived. And now I choose to live. So if you have been waiting for a sorry that never comes, perhaps tonight before you sleep, you can stand in front of your mirror, look into your own eyes and whisper, I'm sorry I doubted you. I'm sorry I blamed you. I'm sorry I kept you waiting. I love you. I really, really love you. That is your apology. That is your reconciliation. That is your integration. They may never understand what they did. They may never change. That is their journey. But you, my dear, are changing. You are learning. You are becoming the safe place you always longed for. You are not forgetting. You are healing. You are not excusing. You are releasing. You are not waiting. You are choosing. And every time you choose to be kind to yourself instead of repeating their cruelty, every time you choose to set a boundary instead of abandoning yourself, every time you choose to speak gently to the child inside instead of criticizing them, you are rewriting the story. You are saying, the hurt stopped with me. The healing begins with me. And that is a very beautiful, very powerful place to live. This is where the healing begins. Right here, where you stop trying to erase your own memory and instead decide to become wise with it. So many people think forgiveness means you must forget, you must wipe it all away, you must pretend it never happened. And then a part of you resists, because a deeper wisdom inside knows that forgetting would be dangerous. Forgetting would expose you to the same pattern again and again. So let us make a very clear, loving distinction. Not forgetting is not the same as holding a grudge. When you refuse to forget, you are not choosing bitterness, you are choosing awareness. You are saying, I will not drink the poison every day, but I will keep the bottle label so I don't drink from it again. Remembering with hatred keeps you trapped. Remembering with clarity keeps you safe. I like to think of it this way. The event was like a wound, raw and open and painful to the touch. But as you heal, that wound becomes a scar. You can still see it. You can still recall what happened. But it is no longer an open cut that gets infected every time someone brushes against it. The scar shows that something hurt you, but it also shows you survived. And when you run your fingers gently over that scar, you no longer collapse. You say, yes, I went through that, and look who I am now. So one of our intentions is to help that memory move from bleeding wound to healed scar. How do we know the difference? When it is still a wound, the body tells the story before your mouth does. You think of them and your chest tightens, your jaw locks, your stomach twists, your throat closes. Have you noticed that? The mind says, I'm over it, and the body whispers, oh no, we are not. When it becomes a scar, you may still feel a little tenderness, but you do not feel invaded. You do not feel flooded. You can remember as though you are looking at an old photograph instead of reliving the moment frame by frame. We want the event to become information, not a prison. So be very kind with yourself if you are not there yet. Healing is not a straight line. It is back and forth and back and forth and back again, until one day you notice that the back and forth has slowed down. You remember, but you are no longer burning. You remember, but you are no longer shrinking. You remember, and you remain present in your own body. That is wisdom. And wisdom is what will protect you much more effectively than a hard shell of bitterness ever could. Now, to move a wound toward a scar, we must talk about something that spiritual people often try to skip over. Your anger, your very legitimate anger. My dear, if something unjust was done to you, if someone betrayed, abandoned, or violated your trust, it is natural to feel angry about it. Anger is not the problem. Stuffed anger is the problem. Anger that is shoved down, locked in the muscles, forced under the smile. That is where the poison comes from. So I want to give you permission right now to have your righteous anger in safe ways, not at someone's face, not in ways that put you in danger, but in ways that let the energy move through your body instead of rotting inside. One beautiful practice is to write a letter you will never send. You take a piece of paper and you let the most honest words come. You do not need to be spiritual in that letter. You do not need to be polite. You do not need to be above it. You simply say, "This is what you did. This is how it felt. This is what it cost me." You empty your heart onto that page, and when you are finished, you can rip it up or burn it safely, knowing that the purpose was not to change them. The purpose was to free you from carrying unsaid words. Another way is to let the body express what the voice cannot yet say. You can take a pillow and scream into it or push it or punch it, not to hurt yourself, but to give the trapped energy somewhere to go. You might say, "I am so tired of holding this inside. I'm so tired of pretending I'm fine." And then you let your arms move, you let your legs stomp, you let the tears fall. You can also take that energy to movement, a brisk walk, a run, dancing intensely in your room, shaking out your hands, rolling your shoulders, anything that feels like releasing. Emotion is meant to move. When it passes through the body, it can leave. When you keep it only in the mind, it circles and circles and circles. So if you have been trying to forgive by silencing your anger, I want you to know that your body may not believe you yet. First we acknowledge, then we release, and only then can we truly soften. You might say to yourself, "Of course I feel this way. Of course a part of me is furious, and I am willing to give this anger a safe exit." Once some of that trapped energy has moved, we can enter a softer, deeper space, and this is where I love to bring in the mirror. You know how I feel about mirror work. The mirror is the place where you meet the soul in the eyes. The mirror is where you stop abandoning yourself to chase people who have already shown you that they will not hold your heart with care. So I would like you, when you are ready, to stand in front of your mirror, look into your own eyes, and speak to the part of you that has been carrying this need to punish, to hold on, to keep the story alive. Take a breath, let your shoulders drop just a little, and say slowly, "I am willing to release the need to punish you." Now notice I did not say, "I forgive you completely forever and ever, and I never feel anything again." We are not forcing anything. We are expressing willingness. I am willing to release the need to punish you. I am willing to stop hurting myself with what they did. I am willing to choose freedom for myself. These are very powerful statements. You are not saying that what happened was all right. You are saying that you are all right enough now to stop living there. You may feel resistance. You may hear a little voice inside say, "But if I let go, it means it didn't matter." And then you smile gently at that voice and answer, "Oh no, my love. It mattered so much that I do not want it to define the rest of my life." And now we come to a point that is very important, because many people confuse it. The difference between forgiveness in your heart and behavior in your life. I want you to hear this clearly. Forgiveness is an inner process. Boundaries are an outer practice. You can forgive someone completely in your heart. You can wish them healing. You can let go of hatred and still never have another conversation with them. You can forgive and block the number. You can forgive and move to a different city. You can forgive and say, "For my safety, for my peace, I choose distance." That is not lack of forgiveness. That is self-respect. The mind might say, "If I truly forgive, I must welcome them back." No, my dear, that is not true. You are not required to give anyone a front row seat to your life just because you have decided not to carry hatred in your heart. You are allowed to say, "I bless you, and I release you, and the door to my inner world is now guarded by my love for myself. So perhaps your healing sentence today could be something like this: I can forgive and still say no. I can release the poison and keep the lesson. Let that sink into your body. Feel how different it is from the old idea that you must choose between peace and protection. You are allowed to have both. You are learning to remember without reliving, to feel without drowning, to love without abandoning yourself. And every time you practice this, even a little, you are building a new identity. Someone who honors their own heart, someone who listens to their own boundaries, someone who does not wait for outside permission to be free. You are not erasing the past. You are reclaiming the pen. You are not pretending it never hurt. You are deciding it will not hurt you forever. And I think that is such a beautiful, courageous thing to do. Can you feel, even just a little, how heavy it is to carry someone in your mind every single day? When we refuse to forgive, we often imagine that we are somehow holding them accountable, keeping them on the hook by replaying the scene, by rehearsing the arguments we never got to say, by tightening our chest every time their name appears in our thoughts. But my dear, what you are really doing is dragging them like a shadow through every room of your life. You wake up and they are there in the back of your mind. You try to love someone new, and a part of you whispers, "Careful, remember what happened last time." You lie down at night, and the body cannot fully relax because it is still bracing for a danger that is no longer in the room. You may notice that your shoulders never fully drop, your jaw never fully unclenches, your heart never fully opens, because a part of you is living in a permanent flinch, a permanent "what if it happens again?" This is the real cost of unforgiveness. It is not that they walk around suffering because you haven't forgiven them. Most of the time they are not even thinking of you. The cost is that your beautiful nervous system stays on guard, your trusting heart stays behind bars, and your present moments are colored by an old story that should have been allowed to rest. So many people tell me, if I let this go, they'll get away with it. And I always answer, look carefully, my love, who is paying the price right now? Keeping the pain alive does not punish them. It drains you. Keeping the movie running in your mind does not change what they did. It only keeps you living inside the scene long after the curtain has fallen. Your body cannot tell the difference between a memory you replay vividly and something happening right now. So each time you revisit it with anger and tension, your heart and your brain relive the shock, the fear, the humiliation. No wonder you are tired. No wonder you are wary of new people. No wonder joy feels like something that happens to other people. Unforgiveness is like drinking a little poison every morning and hoping someone else will get sick. Now, I am not saying this to blame you. I am saying it to free you. You did what you knew to survive. You held on because letting go felt like saying it didn't matter, and it mattered so very much. But there comes a sacred moment on the healing journey where you look at your own heart and you say, I will not keep hurting you with what they did. I will not keep paying their bill. This is the moment when forgiveness stops being a moral command and becomes an act of self-love. You are not doing it to prove that you are spiritual enough. You are doing it because you are tired of carrying a weight that is not helping you grow. You are doing it because you finally understand that not forgiving does not punish them. Not forgiving punishes you. I want you to put a gentle hand on your heart right now, if you can, and feel that beautiful, faithful heart that has never stopped beating for you, not even for 1 second, even on the nights you thought you would break. Take a slow breath with me, in and out, and say quietly inside, I am willing to choose my peace over this old story. I am willing to choose my future over this old wound. You don't have to know how to do it all at once. Willingness is the first step. You are the only thinker in your mind, and that means you are the one who can decide which thoughts get to stay and which ones are gently escorted out. Let's anchor this willingness with some loving words, because words are so powerful, and your subconscious listens to the tone with which you speak to yourself. I would like you to imagine that we are sitting together, just the two of us, and I am looking into your eyes with so much tenderness and saying, now, my dear, repeat after me. And you let these words move through your body, not just your mind. You might even whisper them out loud or write them down later. I release the past and step into love. Feel how different that is from, I will never get over this. Try it again, more slowly. I release the past and step into love. You are not erasing the chapter. You are stepping out of it. And now, let us soften the grip of expectations. I forgive you for not being the person I wanted you to be. This is not saying that what they did was right. It is saying, I see the reality now, and I will not keep fighting with what is already true. Breathe with it. I forgive you for not being the person I wanted you to be. And then we widen the circle from them to you. I am free, and you are free. Let those words land in your shoulders, in your lungs, in your belly. I am free, and you are free. You do not need to keep them chained in your memory in order to feel safe. In fact, that chain has been around your own heart. And now, a very important one. I do not wait for an apology to be at peace. Say it once and notice what protests arise. Say it again, and imagine taking back a key you had handed to them. I do not wait for an apology to be at peace. For so long, peace has been postponed until they do the right thing. Today you are moving peace back into your own hands. And then we add this gentle, wise line. I keep the lesson and release the pain. You are not throwing away your wisdom. You are keeping the information, the insight, the clarity, and sending away only the poison. I keep the lesson, silly pain. My love, these are not just pretty sentences. These are decisions. Each time you say them, you are choosing a different future for your nervous system, a different atmosphere for your relationships, a different story to tell about who you are. You are no longer the one who was broken and left there. You are the one who got up, who learned, who grew, who chose freedom. As we come to a close, I want to remind you of something very important. Closure does not live in their mouth. It lives in your heart. Reconciliation, yes, that requires two people, but integration, healing, peace, those are between you and your own soul. You may never get the explanation, the apology, the acknowledgement you deserved, and that is painful, but it does not have to be a life sentence. You are allowed to give yourself the closure they could not give you. You can say, this chapter is over for me now. I bless it for what it taught me, and I bless myself for surviving it. Forgiveness does not erase the memory. Forgiveness erases the power of that memory over you. And that is what I desire for you with all my heart. That when you think of what happened, you feel compassion for the person you were, pride in the person you have become, and a deep sense of safety in the person you are now. Before we finish, I would love for you to choose one sentence that touched you. Maybe, I keep the lesson and release the pain, or I do not wait for an apology to be at peace, or perhaps your own words, and write it down somewhere you can see it. Put it on your mirror, in your journal, on your phone, and let it become a little lighthouse for you on the days when the old waves try to rise. I bless you on this journey of releasing what no longer serves you. I bless your heart for its courage, your body for all it has carried, your mind for being willing to learn a kinder way. May you feel more and more each day that you are not defined by what they did. You are defined by the love you are willing to give yourself now. May your nights grow softer, your mornings lighter, and your relationships safer as you loosen your grip on the old pain. You are safe to choose peace. You are worthy of a life that is not built around an old wound. You are free to step forward. I love you, I bless you, and I see you as whole, capable, and deeply deserving of happiness. Be at peace, my dear. And so it is.